extra minutes.
When it came to actually being tested for the gene, how difficult a decision was that?
For me, it wasn't a very big decision. At that stage, it was just a blood test, and it was a bit of curious. It kind of just grew from there that, okay, this is snowballing into something that's quite a big thing. But back then, it was just so new and just so fresh, and we didn't really know. I'd always known that we would have this, we had this family heirloom of cancer as the history factor. So I'd always had in my mind that there's a real possibility that this might happen. So I guess when the blood test came back and it was positive, it just reaffirmed what we were kind of thinking anyway.
And what about for you, Veronica? You know, making that decision to have the test meant that you had to think about it, right?
Well, I wish it did. When I took the test, I didn't. I was a little bit ignorant. I just went, oh yeah, I'll have the blood test, see if I've got that gene. But I didn't understand the weight of the implications of it, I must say. I thought it was a bit like knowing what blood type you are. That's how stupid I was, really.
Stupid's not a good word.
Well, you know what I mean. We were ignorant. It was very new then. So actually when I got a positive result, that's when it sort of became more of a big deal. Understanding the implications of the results was. But I think now choosing to have the test is a big deal because we know that a positive or a negative results can mean, you know, life or death in some ways. I didn't think I'd have the gene actually because I'm so different from these girls. They both had asthma. Mum had asthma. You know what I mean? They all had traits that Mum had, and I didn't have any of those. And I thought, I'm nothing like them. I'm not even related. That's what I was hoping. No.
You wanted to be the adopted one.
So I was really surprised actually that mine was positive. I was like, oh. Well, I am like Mum after all or something, you know. You're going, well, if I do something about this mutant gene, what about all the other hundreds of mutant genes that I have in my body? So I was a bit more confused about all of that, I must say. And I found the idea of removing my healthy breast quite radical. And I was thinking, it's barbaric. That's what I thought, and I still think in 50 years' time they'll look back and they'll go, that's really barbaric what those women had to go through, you know, because they'll have some way of turning off that gene, you know, just by a tablet or whatever. It's quite a barbaric idea to chop your breasts off, you know.
So what convinced you to do it in the end?
The statistics. Because every single woman who had the gene in our lineage got breast cancer, and you know, it was really obvious that it was, you know, really high chance. I think one of our doctors said about more like 90% chance or something. And
it fluctuated at such a high end that just 5-10%, who cares? It was over 50, so you had to really think about it.
And the mastectomy brought it down to 3%, you know, and I've got a kid. It was tough, but after all the research I did, it was the best odds. That's all I can say.
And for you, why were you so black and white about it?
I guess a bit like Angelina, my son came up to me and the day after I had been tested positive, he said pretty much straight up, well, have you made your appointment to get your boobs cut off? And that was just, to him, it was to him, that's just what you got to do. He was black and white about it, and he was, well, you know, why would you not make the appointment today? Because you don't want to end up like, like grandma. Because obviously he's seeing his grandma with breast cancer and going through chemo and her battle and fight. So knowing that I could potentially head down that road, he just said, get them cut off. So I was fortunate enough that I had finished having my children, and so that was out of the equation. And although I'm probably, you know, we talk about, you know, vanity, and, you know, she's pretty vain, talking about Alicia here, and, you know, I'm pretty vain, and so is Veronica, probably less so. But it was important for me from aesthetically to, you know, have breasts because they filled out clothes and they made you look nice, and they were a big part of me as a woman.
They were a small part of you before.
They're a much bigger part of you now.
They're a much bigger part of your life now.
You rehearsed that?
I did
No.
not. They just come like that. Gold.
No,
gold,
we saw it on
gold.
the doco yesterday. He said, I only want to be a small B.
And
Bull.
then you come out,
And you come out as a double D.
Oh, you're such a liar. They are not double Ds.
They are.
They are not.
They are.
I fit into a 12C.
Okay.
Anyway, getting back to...
Not a small B, though.
Thanks, Tara. People can see them, Chrissy.
They're there.
They're there. Okay.
Anyway, getting back to that, I went and had the surgery. And these two, I was a bit of a guinea pig, being the eldest. They wanted to see, you know, how it looked, the reconstruction, how you survived it, all that kind of stuff. It's really painful. It's 7-hour surgery and then 4 months of reconstruction. It's not fun at all. But 5 minutes, a drop in the ocean compared to a lifelong battle, which is, you know, my mum's facing a real fight and my little sister's facing a real fight. So where Ronnie and I stand right now, we made absolutely the right decision for us and our family. So I don't ever regret that. Whereas once you have a radical hysterectomy, you're thrown head on into, you know, menopause, crash, bang, and a long time.
Chrissy already behaved
balancing.
like she was having menopause for her
We
entire
thought she
life.
started having menopause 10 years ago, so we didn't notice the difference.
I'm
But it
highly
is
strung,
overnight.
emotional, you know.
It's an overnight, like you wake up in menopause.
In terms of the hysterectomy, have you made a decision on that?
Yeah, I really have to have it. I do. I'm a bit scared of the menopause because of
But mine was fine, and I keep telling you.
Okay.
Stop being a fraidy
no, I do.
cat.
It's just that at the moment, my mum's in chemo, my sister's in chemo.
Dad just died.
I actually just got to find time to slot it in where I can have a surgery, and I'm Alicia's carer now. And
They're excuses.
I mean, you would know better than anyone that you do not have time.
No,
Like, time is not a
no.
factor in your family, is
No.
it? It's not on your side.
You know what another factor to take into consideration, and you know it shouldn't really be important when like you're in a life and death situation, but let's not forget that this is all elective surgery, and elective surgery is not covered, and you have to pay. So to do this prevention, you need to save thousands of dollars.
So to save your life, you need to save thousands of dollars.
Exactly. And it was quite a drain on my family to come up with $11,000 to have my radical elective surgery, which is then saving the government hundreds of thousands of dollars in treating me in the public system if I was to get cancer. So I just think that conversation needs to start to happen, and there needs to be some kind of subsidy for or merit or reward or some kind of assistance for people that are making that elective surgery decision. I mean, this is not a boob job. They are not bouncy, nice and fresh and juicy like a beautiful, breast enhancement. They're numb and hard and cold and yuck. Why would I want to elect to do that as a bonus? I wouldn't. I've done it to save money down the track, or more importantly, my life down the track.
Because even though you're describing it as elective surgery, certainly the way the gene works in your family, you don't have a choice, do you?
Exhibit A, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, this is an example right here. You don't have a choice, so therefore the elective word should be taken right out of it. So my feeling, yes, had I done it immediately, then I don't think I'd be in this position.
Chrissy, you said in the documentary that if Veronica didn't do it, you'd nag her. Did you feel the same about Alicia?
Look, it's probably one of the biggest questions everyone's been asking over the last few days is why didn't Alicia do it? But I didn't need to start nagging her because she was always going to do it. It wasn't the decision not to do it. Like, Ronnie was thinking about not doing it. That's why I would have nagged her. Alicia never thought of not doing it. It was always going to happen. She was always going to have a double mastectomy and the hysterectomy. it's just time. Like, we didn't realise, all our history said 40 to 50. 40, you really need to do something about it. 50 is when all our family, females in our family got cancer. So you could only base what you knew, your knowledge on the history of your own family timeline. But unbeknownst to us and even the medical profession, that this gene does kind of behave in such a different way, and it manifests, and obviously through the generations it's gotten stronger, and it hit Alicia earlier and more aggressively. No, you're not to know that. She was not to know that. Our doctors didn't know that. I mean, they did, they all said, you've got the gene, you need to do something about it, and you don't want to. It is a bit of a time bomb. Your family history says this. We're saying, think about getting it done in the near future.
She was 2 years, I thought, was near future.
Yes.
I didn't think I wasn't like saying I'll do it in 15 years. I thought, 2 years. That's still 10 years earlier than what those girls were doing it.
Yeah.
You thought you had a safety zone.
Yeah.
Time to have another child and live a little bit before she went through all that.
Yeah. So
then when you heard that your sister had been diagnosed with cancer,
it was the worst. That's the time I can't talk about it. It was probably the single worst day of my whole life. I was in Melbourne.
It was just, are you serious? I thought, no. Mum's got cancer. We've had mistake. No, there's some horrible joke here. It's just, bit of a curse. A friend of mine said to me the other day, I don't think I want to be friends with you anymore, Ronnie. Too many bad things happen to you.
I think why it was the worst day in my life is because we have been fighting for such a long time. We did the documentary. We were educating. We have been educating constantly. We have allowed ourselves to be an open book to anybody. And we thought, we were good people. Our mum's a good person. And what we'd been through, we kind of thought, well, this is...
Done the hard yards.
We've done the hard yards. And the day that I found that out, it was, as I said, the worst day of my life, because she's our baby sister. So we had our matriarch and the baby of our family either end going through this. And Alicia's always been probably the most fragile, and probably she's just the princess of the family, I guess. She was everyone's little baby. You still are at 34, aren't you? But so it was just cruel. It was just too hard to cope with, and I just didn't cope with that. But then, you got to, what can you do? So we picked ourselves up and went, we'll just fight like we've never fought before. And it's amazing how everybody has it in them. You just don't think you do. And then Mum always said that God will never give you too much that you can't handle. I questioned that a lot in the last couple of months. But it is true, we're still handling it. And we're still doing it.
I think my little dad didn't handle it. I think he just found it all a bit too much.
It broke his heart, and he
just couldn't fight anymore. Which is fair enough.
But being a soldier that he is, I said to him, Dad, maybe it's you that's going to take the bullet and lay down and let her live. And I don't know if that works in the universe like that, but maybe that's just what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that he took one for her and for Mum.
But he did say that at the end to you.
Mm. Yeah.
This is probably a cruel question, but do you ever think about the day if you don't win this battle? The day that Alicia may not be here?
We try not to, because if we even allow that to enter our head, I think psychologically that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. We're all quite fragile, quite probably at the top of our slush fund. I know personally some things need to spill. If I or Alicia or anyone in our family even entertains that possibility, it might just be the thing that says, right, we can't do it anymore. So I 100% believe that she is going to beat this, and we've got the best team on it. We've got Alicia's A team on it, and I just think we're powerful enough to beat this.
When I got my second diagnosis, I sent everyone an email, a family email, explaining to them what the circumstances was and how bad it was, but how I wanted to approach it, and that was with 100% fight, and I wanted everyone alongside of me with that same attitude of 100% fight, of we're going to win and survive. And I attached a photo of me as Wonder Woman, and then Brendan attached a photo of him as Superman, and then Chrissy attached a photo. Everyone somehow in my family had all these superhero costumes.
Well, mine wasn't really a costume.
She was Euro Bush woman, and she was naked.
I was
She
naked.
was naked. I can't
So
believe
I
it.
don't know how she's going to help the cause, but
I'm sure she's got superpowers too.
yeah.
I must
So
admit-
everyone came to the fore with their superpowers, and that's how we're approaching this as superheroes.